Assalamu alaikum. Today I'm going to conclude my book review, the book Sahih Bukhari, The End of a Myth by the author Rashid Ilal. And basically, at the end of this book, the chapter talks about where is the original handwritten manuscripts by Imam Bukhari? Do they exist? What about his students? He had many students. Where are the manuscripts of his students and followers? Stay. We'll talk about this next. Assalamu alaikum again. So I've done about 10 episode, 11 episode. I'm not really sure about this book. It's an incredible research book by the Moroccan journalist Rashid Ilal, who himself has a YouTube channel, discusses the history of Hadith and and everything related to Imam Bukhari. He wrote this book, Sahih Bukhari, The End of the Myth. It's about, his observation and research and all the documents. Today, I'm going to be talking about basically the end of the book. The end of the book, it deals with exactly where are the original manuscripts of Sahih Bukhari. This is the most, probably, it is the most important book in Islam today. Islam today is practiced primarily based on Sahih Bukhari. You can say the Quran, you can say Muslim believe in the Quran first. They consider the book, the Quran, to be the most important book in Islam. True, but in reality, that is not the case. In reality, the case, every day in our lives, we practice Islam according to this book, whether you know it or not. Anytime you ask an imam, you ask a scholar, you ask an opinion about anything, most likely they're going to give you Sahih Bukhari version of Islam, not the Quran version of Islam. And if they do give you a Quranic version, is usually backed and supported by Sahih Bukhari. So the Quran it has become a secondary source of Islam. And Sahih Bukhari is the primary source of Islam today. Where are the written manuscripts of this book? Where are they? It is the most important book in our lives as Muslim, but we don't know where are the original manuscript. So this book, Al-Jami' al-Sahih, known as Sahih Bukhari, is basically full of mistakes, delusional statement, accusations of the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ of all sorts of things. I mean, it accuses the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ. I mean, we've talked about this in previous episode, but as someone tried to commit suicide multiple times, it accuses him in so many different ways. It tarnishes the Prophet's image. It distorts Islam. Yes, there are beautiful things in it. There are a lot of teaching. There are a lot of stuff in there. But nevertheless, it does a tremendous amount of harm. And all we want to know is who wrote this book and where are the original manuscripts. If it's such a magnificent and important book in Islam for more than 1400 years, where are those original manuscripts? Okay? As I said before, all these people that praises Imam Bukhari, all of them, they said he wrote it with his own hands. Okay, fine. Where are those copies that he wrote with his own hands? And they said that he handed those copies to his student Al-Farabri. And Al-Farabi, one of thousands of students that traveled to learn the science of hadith from Imam Bukhari. Where are their original handwritten manuscripts? Where are the handwritten original manuscript of Al-Farabi and his students? Where is it? What museum, what library, what bookstore, what university, what institution? Where the heck is it? Imam Bukhari, they told us that he spoke Persian as a child. And they said that he started researching hadith at age 10. Okay? Well, Persian at age 10 and researching hadith in Arabic and a language that probably a 10 years old Persian kid did not understand or comprehend, and yet he was researching hadith at age 10. That character that they created, the super special gifted divine intervention that brought this person, the way they told us, did not leave any original manuscript with his handwriting. So that, therefore, we have to question, we have to ask, we have to do our own research, because really we need to know, we want to know who wrote this book. Was it written by him? Was it, yeah, he wrote the little section here and there, somebody added something else. As years went by, some ruler needed to justify some political, military, something, added something on. Some fake scholars or scholars that wanted to justify for a ruler or something, they wrote something else and attributed all these things and compiled it and called it Sahih Bukhari and attributed it to Imam Bukhari. So currently, now today, in today's world, we have something that we have the person in charge of King Abdulaziz library in Saudi Arabia, his name Ibrahim al-Yahya, who have a Salafi website. He published all the copies of, he claims to be the handwritten copies of Sahih Bukhari. And he did, this is probably the most important work that concerning Sahih Bukhari, organized work of the hadith was done by King Abdulaziz and Saudi Arabia University. They organized it, they did a very, very professional job in terms of describing everything, taking pictures of all these documents. Even, some of those documents, they had parts missing, they categorized them, and they said who they think, when was written, when this copy was brought from, and the condition, and the notes, and all that stuff. So it was pretty well organized effort by that institution. And it presented as an authentic manuscript by Imam Bukhari. But the fact is, when you start asking questions and start researching these things, all you see are these are just copies. Just copies separated by hundreds of years. The time estimation is many, many years. It's not handwritten. It is just copies. Who wrote these copies? You got different names, who copied them. Just guess. All of it, just guess. The entire book, all the fragments, everything, it was just guessing who made this copy, who wrote this copy. How come this copy was found in Morocco? This copy was found here, and it's not handwritten. It's not authentic, written by Imam Bukhari or his students. So, is there anywhere in the world any original handwritten manuscripts ever? Somebody got a hold of it, kept it in secret, like, they found some original Quran in Sana'a when they were digging. There's always some discoveries, but is there, with all the battles, with all the movement, Muslims were moving from Baghdad into Spain, all over the place. Anybody took a copy with them and kept it. So there was a very interesting research that was done by Dr. Kurkis Awad, that research was sponsored by the Iraqi government to look at every university, every museum, every institution, to look for all the Arabic manuscripts that existed from the birth of Islam up to the Hijra calendar of 500 years, Hijra calendar, which is about like the 11th century. They did research, comprehensive research, sponsored by the Iraqi government in 1982, to really see where any Arabic manuscripts, where do they exist? Anywhere. All they found is, everything they found was related to the Quran. And they found a book by Sabawi in Bulgaria. It talks about Al-Jami' al-Sahih, which is Sahih Bukhari. It talks about it. It talks about the copies that they do exist, and just copies, not a handwritten manuscripts, nothing. So Sahih Bukhari, basically, every time you dig into where are the original manuscripts, where is always all you end up is copies. You never end up with any one person who have any original handwritten manuscripts, whether from Imam Bukhari, whether from his close student Al-Farabri, or his students. If you read the books of Hadith, it gives you an impression that Imam Bukhari had like tens of thousands of students. It wasn't like one student. It wasn't 10,000. It was like 100,000, 90,000. And it's really shocking that none of them, not one single one of them, left an original handwritten manuscripts about the book Sahih Bukhari. And all of it, we have copies that started to show up like 151 years after the death of Imam Bukhari. We have, you got copies in Berlin Library, you got something in Oxford, you have King Abdulaziz. We have a lot of copies, but not a single hand copy by Imam students. And the estimation is 70,000 students, and none of them left one original manuscript, handwritten original manuscripts. But there are copies they claim to be by students. And the interesting thing is all those copies are different. They're different hadith, they have different ages, they have different content. So if they all were taught from the same source, why is it so vastly, they're so different from each other? Like hundreds of copies that they are not the same copies. So basically, Rashid Ilal in this book concludes and asks and beg for the question is, who in the world wrote this book? Could it be somebody wrote this book knowing Imam Bukhari was such a brilliant scholar, and he wrote, a few pages, or who began to write a book, did not finish it, did not complete it, and then they took that concept and added on and on and on and on, and attributed everything to Imam Bukhari. So that's pretty much basically is the chapter. It talks about the absolute lack of any handwritten documents that can be traced to Imam Bukhari or any of his students. Yeah, there is, there is a very famous copy that, people who support the hadith, they always point to, is there is a copy, pretty much comprehensive, a big section of the book Sahih Bukhari that was found. It's called by a British scholar, it's called the Minjana copy, and it's considered the oldest copy by Bukhari fans, by Bukhari supporter, by everybody. And any research of that Minjana copy, it finds out that it's actually a copy, and it is a copy of, pretty much the consensus is, of a person named Abu Zayd al-Marawizi. He's probably wrote that copy based on his observation from someone else, and it's just one copy. There are other copies that different, hundreds different. So I'll be concluding this book. It's been really interesting book to read. Lots of research. I've omitted a lot of detailed stuff to simplify it. But I urge you, don't believe this book. Don't trust this book. Okay? Trust your own thinking. Study the subject. Listen to voices that really have a lot of question around Sahih Bukhari. Who wrote it? And why? And by who? And is it really written by Imam Bukhari, or the name? Or Imam Bukhari has nothing to do with it, but it's got his name. You're going to do your own research, your own study. Give it some time. And look, there are beautiful things in Sahih Bukhari we can benefit from. But there are some horrible things that really is doing a great disservice to Islam and have changed absolutely Islam itself. It has created a parallel religion to Islam that is unrecognizable by the Quran. So thank you very much, and God bless, and Assalamu alaikum.